Yeah, so this was by far their most dominant battleground in terms of getting wins and doing it very successfully despite the fact that they were 1-1 coming into this weekend.
It is a good battleground for both teams here, so I don't think that, I'm sure, especially with the break, Galeforce went for a strategy that was high risk, high reward. No doubt it's not going to be a problem for them, and honestly, I want to applaud them for running something like that on a map that is so highly favored toward HeroesHearth. I can definitely see when you know that HeroesHearth, it's their battleground, it's where they feel comfortable. They have shown a lot of different playstyles here that have worked out or been very close to working out. They show great control point play. So for Galeforce, they knew they were going to be going into that. Try to get a win there at least. If not, you've gotten through the two maps now, Tomb and Volskaya. And for that's got to feel pretty good for them that they're through those two.
You know, Greymane let through again. We'll see if we do go down that route. Instead, Malthel ETC, the winning combo so far. 2 for 2 in this series. But Tyrael 0 for 2 in this series. And Gilly, coming into today, the rework Tyrael hasn't been there. We talked about it a bit earlier. 4-8 North America before today started. That win rate is going down. This high priority towards Tyrael, I wonder as this goes on if teams are going to start rethinking this strategy.
Yeah, and it's not just here in NA. We're looking at a 46-ish% in the rest of the world, and I do believe that that was a lot higher prior to the rework and where he's coming in. So it takes time when you have a hero be changed, be reworked like that, or a new hero trying to fit in exactly where the strength within drafts lie. But also, we have seen already a lot of teams in North America put up really good defenses and ways of dealing with Tyraels. You've seen cocoons on Tyrael so that he can't get sanks. We've seen Gorge and more stitches. Yeah, the belly cocoon as a way of stopping the Tyrael. Galeforce Esports, they get their Lucio this time, and they'll also get their Jaina again.
Yeah, that stat, by the way, 55% coming into this weekend, or at least prior to, for Tyrael. As you said, down to, it was 47, dropping drastically down to about 46. We're talking about almost a 10% drop in one weekend for Tyrael. That's insane. You're excited for Tyrael losing? Like,
no, never. But the
like,
camera was on me the whole time.
So
I
you
was like, yeah,
I'm
just going to give it a little
I'll talk.
dancing.
Easy answer, I guess that'll do.
Exactly.
Lucio comes up. That is, again, Akapace's most played and pretty much his most successful. You had mentioned that in the previous game. No more Morales, no Morales special. Instead, we get the Lucio, a tried and true for them.
Yeah, Akapace dies less than once per game on Lucio, and it's clearly his most played. A lot more games centered on Lucio overall than the rest of his supports. And then he does die more on other supports, 1.5 to 2 deaths more, so it's quite a drastic difference. It shows his comfort on Lucio, his plays that he's available to make. And he makes some Lucio plays. Remember the boop back on the Tracer, the tanking of the Pulse Bomb? We've seen some great palms from him too, but it is the place where it's most comfortable for Galeforce.
All calculated, yeah. And given that he's played so many games on Lucio, it's actually kept his death ratio way down.
Right.
And when you look at the other ones, it would be near the worst. Instead, because the Lucio plays in the way that he plays, he's actually only 1.2 deaths per game, which is pretty decent for support, but that does rank 11th in North America. So he definitely keeps his deaths down.
Moving on, Abathur ban for Galeforce is pretty consistent, although a lot of times it's all the way up in the first ban roll. But here, trying to keep Hanzo out of the hands of Crowan, and Crowan is undefeated 8-0 on this hero, so that makes a whole lot of sense why you'd want to do that. Greymane and Uther next with HeroesHearth. It's a pretty good-looking composition for HeroesHearth. Yeah,
I think that they were willing to let the Greymane through and then ban out the Abathur. That way you don't give up the potential Abathur whatever. And giving Abathur Greymane potentially was just too much of a risk. And maybe they think that they've got something with the Jaina. Maybe thinking that the Jaina could be that counter to the dive style. You get the slow on the movement speed. You get the burst damage. Maybe you can sustain through a lot of that. So maybe this is where they think that they have the advantage.
We'll have to see. Last two picks now as we consider Biggie, who will not get his Medivh this time to help out with the Lucio, but Tyrael shielding and Justice for All is still there. Who else might we see from Biggie?
Could keep it Taika style. Gives you another interrupt, gives you some just safe damage, gives you somebody to survive the dive style of a Malthel Greymane.
Lunara.
Versus the Uther. I like it a lot.
And Blaze. Excellent change-ups for Galeforce in this draft. And I'm excited to see the Blaze. nobody yet between Fury and B-Kid have shown us a blaze. And both have played Tyrael in series for Gale Force. So this could go either way, either stylings.
Yeah, that'll be something to definitely watch. You bring up a really good point on how that will play around. You know, with their first Blaze game, this is also their first Lunara game. Obviously, auto attack style hero, especially as we've pointed out in the past. Splintered Spear, post level 7, spreading out those auto attacks really makes Uther struggle in a lot of these things. So we'll see what HeroesHearth can do to deal with it. They need another backliner, but is this potentially double support territory for them?
You've already got the Tormented Souls set up with an execution from Greymane. The only thing I'm worried about is with Sound Barrier and Sanctification, as long as those are set up for a really long time, might be more difficult to get that. So with that, they have another means of assassination in having Zeratul. The return of Zeratul. It's been a little while since we've had Zeratul, especially for a team that's not Tempo Storm, although it feels like even Tempo is shifting away from the Dark Prelate. But McIntyre has played him a few times already in HGC.
I can tell you it's more than capable hands. He's played it twice. He's 1-on-1 so far. More than capable of playing this hero. Probably one of the more skilled ones that we have here in North America. So coming out, however, when we've seen some of these compositions, Lunara does have greater spell shield at 13 to potentially deal with some of the damage. We'll also probably see the
Frost Armor.
Well, the Frost Armor, yeah, and then the Nature's Reveal at level 1 to keep him. You just get that one auto attack in. You can keep it on. He's visible for 4 seconds. Can't go back into that cloak. So there are some potential counters. Tyrael can shield, Lucio Sound Barrier. So Zeratul's opportunities might not be a lot, but when they come in, they could really matter. We'll see the potential collapse coming in with the Malthael, Greymane, and Zeratul.
Love to see a tied series going into Game 3 between these two teams in a series that have utmost importance, not only for these teams, but for teams who are riding on a win for HeroesHearth. I'm talking about Freedom and Team 12, who will qualify if HeroesHearth wins the series. Gale Force has, who is it playing the Lunara? It's Biggie. Biggie played a ton of Lunara for a time when he was on Lag Force toward the end of last year. So you talked about McIntyre, the Zeratul being in more than capable hands. I want to echo that for the other side and Lunara.
It'll be fun to watch. I always like the Lunara. Lunara for me is one of my, she's fun to play, but it's more like a in the right circumstances type deal. So we'll see what he can get out of that, whether he can get that slow poison style damage and whether Michael Udall can come in and be the finisher. So we'll see as the rotations here for Gale Force. They're going to move their way down. Ishbu trying to disrupt the rotations, try and find out. But the slow between Lunara, between Jaina, making Ishbu regret he went through there.
Rotations between mid and bot there for Gale Force as they once again, like on Tomb, try to utilize that wave clear of the Jaina to get ahead in that. We'll soon have the Sapper camps spawning, and that's always a important moment for these teams. We have seen so much bottom lane focus for teams, and for here, HeroesHearth don't quite have the same setup that they've had a lot of times, where they have Arthlon playing the Falstad, he goes into Wingman, and then they have both the bot and the top pressure, but at least here they have Greymane. He's going to try to get started on that bottom lane camp, and maybe we'll see Zeratul rotate up to help out Malthael too.
Zeratul sneaking around down there. We saw Gale Force maybe feign a camp invade. They don't confirm that. McIntyre going to go ahead and blink away. Does catch a little bit of damage on the way out, but I must say the amount of slows that we've seen already Ishbu have to deal with, it's actually pretty scary between that Lunara and that Jaina slow.
Yeah, you talked about greater spell shield, and I think Big E will at least be tempted by unfair advantage. Though, I guess living and being able to deal slightly less damage is still more important than being able to dish out a ton of damage. But think about it, they also have Blaze, the slows from Oil Spill. Ooh, that's a lot of slow power happening for Gale Force.
Raid mentality. You can't do damage if you're dead, Gilly.
That is true, it seems. I wouldn't know. When I raid, I often am dead, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked before about the key strategy, of course, is always to stand in the fire.
Exactly, and I've been doing that, and it hasn't been working out for me. I'm going to need some more strategies from you maybe after this series. For now, though, level 4 here for both of the teams. Gale Force hasn't gone to pick up their Sapper camps yet, as we've got the spawn. HeroesHearth, it's great to see that they still have this continued focus, between bot and then top with the sappers. This time just rotating in with McIntyre, keeping Arthlon in the top lane as that Malthael.
They are, and as you mentioned, the potential Frost Arbor coming out. Jaina did go for that at the level 4, so that will help keep her alive when the Zeratul does dive. Now, we've seen some different pickups, whether it be Wormhole or something else going in at 7. McIntyre will have to see what he decides to go with, or whether he does try and play into that. But with the Frost Armor there, might have a few other things to keep in mind.
Channel starting as McIntyre and Crowan start to step forward, delaying in the top. The bottom has not been channeled yet, this mid, as Michael Udall finally is able to get that channel. Everyone heading down. HeroesHearth just used that invasion to try to buy a little bit of time. Have a power play here in this mid where they have at least, if not the man advantage, having the better positioning set up around this. And they're going to use that as BBJ finds a stun. He's got a power slide hitting Biggie. Biggie being chased down. Arthlon there. The shielding barely keeps Big Impact alive there from the Tyrael with the Blizzard. Arthlon chunks down in damage.
Akaface is completely split from his team. McIntyre is going to dare him to path through. He gets one auto attack and gets another. The boot back. McIntyre forced to blink away. Still here, but the power slide over instantly takes down Lunara, and they're looking for more. B-Kid trying to get the stun in. Fury trying to return some of the damage, but Akaface is now going to be the priority target. He does barely get away, but McIntyre with the Vorpal in. I was wondering if he still had that. Akaface lucky to be alive.
McIntyre doesn't even have 7 yet. Imagine how that mobility gets once he gets either Wormhole or Seeker in the dark. Whatever the choice, probably Wormhole. I believe that's most people's favorite choice there, except for
Glaurung.
Glaurung, and then B-Kid was playing it, though we've seen the change up from him. Even still, the amount of harassment, the sheer harassment potential from him is already quite a lot now, as with the level 7 almost here for both teams. Now Gale Force picking it up. They lost out just slightly in losing the 2 to the 1 altar, but still very much anybody's game.
Very much, for sure. I mean, as this game goes on, the Lunara poison now here, a Splintered Spear was picked up. Jaina, of course, continuing to build up her damage, sitting on 9 globes out of those 20. Once you get those 20, you get that extra burst damage, and getting them peppered down with poison and then coming in for the kill shot. I mean, that seems to be the name of the game for both of these teams, is trying to get in there, weaken them, and then have the execution composition, whether it's going to be Greymane, Zeratul, Malthael, or whether it's going to be more along the lines of Blaze, Lunara, Jaina.
Do you expect that we see Ishbu get stage dive here? I'm really hoping for a mosh pit, sort of selfishly, because Ishbu makes insane mosh plays. I think it was on this very map that he had the bolt over the wall into the mosh pit. Any chance you think he changes that up here, depending on with what Gale Force has?
There's no global on Gale Force's side, and there's only one interrupt on that side.
Yeah.
In the form of Lucio, and the positioning is very tough for Lucio. So I would fully expect a mosh pit here, unless they just really want to play the macro global game. But the way HeroesHearth plays, I'm imagining a mosh pit.
No extra range from Chase the Base either for that sound wave, not even getting off the wall for the cooldown reduction. Instead getting Subwoofer for the greater knockback. Understandable, right? He's trying to keep Zeratul, he's trying to keep ETC, Greymane, Malthael, everybody off of his backline. But that might be a huge problem for Gale Force when we get to those post-10 fights.
Just watching McIntyre just kind of blink over the wall, make a little bit of a play, see if he can make something happen. Cocktail's going to hit onto Akaface. Blaze trying to zone out up at the top. Ishbu going in, gets the power slide out, but he's taking a lot of poison damage in return. And this is the problem that you're going to struggle with, is the poison damage, the slows. Uther not able to keep up with it. They're having to give this up, 32 to 32.
Yeah, those solo altar phases are not super fun for a team with the Uther solo supporting against the Lunara. That changes a lot when you start to get into more of the close quarters fights, when HeroesHearth can be the ones to start forcing fights down. We've seen a lot of Lunara games, several Lunara games now on Towers of Doom, and it feels like those solo altar phases, it's not like for you to be able to win. The setup's going to be too good for Gale Force. You have constant poisons, enough interrupts that the slow fight is guaranteed, and for Heroes fight, that's not a fight that they're going to win.
Well, we see Thornwood Vines picked up again to potentially poke down in these circumstances. Not like the game that we saw before. Ishbu, nice job dodging a few of those attacks, but he's going to slide right over. There's the boot, but the knockback. Crowan trying to go in to confirm the kill. McIntyre lurking in the top, Gilly.
Got the lurk for sure. We still see the top laners up in the top. Haven't left yet. Haven't tried to come down and make this a 5v5. But the Thornwood Vine, no leaping strike, despite having many different people who can dive in on Biggie, but Biggie wants to make sure that between Thornwood Vine and the Splintered Spear, he can do maximum area damage and maximum applications of those poisons.
Yeah, one of the most underrated things is McIntyre trying to make plays is he's going in, he's getting the auto attack in, the power slide over, thwarting away the potential.
He got her.
Oh my.
He got her. That was one kill. Now Arthalon looking for a second as he jukes around Michael Udall, but he's being slowed by the Water Elemental and destroyed by Jaina, making that a 2-for-2 as with a go for the throat. We're going to see a Tyrael death at 2. That's a 2-for-2 as he's looking for more. Crone goes back in after Akaface now.
Ooh, Akaface in a bad spot. Well, he got scared. He had to use the sound barrier. Now they're keeping up the chase. Seeing if Udall doesn't have much mana to keep that up. They're trying to disrupt that. B-Kid unable to get the channel in. Akaface peeling off to the left. This could be a trade here. But right before all that, one of the most underrated things is that you are unstoppable when you're using Leaping Strike. So if you're afraid of the power slide, you're afraid of things like that in a similar situation that they were just in, you can use that to jump over. Instead, you are opting for more of a long-distance poke style.
The thing that at least Gale Force do have is having Sanctification. If Tyrael is outside of that mosh, and it's Fury, he's gonna watch for moshes. He is sort of the ETC king. So if he is outside of that, can sanct people out, and then there's the bunker still behind that to help deal with things like the just sheer pressure that HeroesHearth comp has. There are ways of getting through that, but a grouping gone wrong, pushing through into the sapper camps where you've got those choke points, all of these are opportunities for game-ending mosh pits from Ishbu because of the lack of interrupts.
That's 2 of the sappers taken care of. They were held in position. As you can see, HeroesHearth clean it up, making sure to keep this bottom lane very much alive. Arthalon doing quite a bit to push in up at the top with his sappers. B-Kid trying to take care of those. Gets a stun. Michael Udall is going to be here. Tormented Souls is going to be out, but the burst damage is going to be here. Fury and team take down Arthalon, who not as adept to playing that melee style. He's very flexible, Gilly, but that was major overplay.
Yeah, especially because Blaze was being pretty aggressive in his positioning. It's like to be that maybe the communication wasn't there and hadn't been called, that a lot of people were off, but regardless, he was very far forward. He got caught, had the Water Elemental, the slows from there, went into Tormented Souls because he knew Zeratul was rotating up too. It's just that everybody from Gale Force was committed to rotating up to get that kill, which means now Malthael is just now respawning for this next altar phase, and importantly, there's no Tormented Souls for another 60 seconds.
Yeah, that was a big heroic use there. He also went Shroud of Wisdom at 13. Not the typical unstoppable style of trying to get something else going, but all this mage damage. He's more afraid of the blow-up than the potential slows because there's not a lot of lockdown, but they're got their eyes on Fury, who goes down instantly as the go for the throat. Now he's got his eyes on Michael Udall. Crowan trying to go in. Divine Shield was used.
And they just got ripped through those health bars. Ishbu goes in. It's a 3-man mosh pit. It's only BQ who's outside of that. Crowan happy to dive back in along with that. As Big Impact seems the next to fall, we see 3 kills for the 2. Crowan was handled. The Water Elemental gets another one. It's a bloodbath here on Towers of Doom.
Biggie, he's got enough damage.
Biggie,
Ishbu, he's got his E. The minions are there. He's got to turn his attention. ETC will have another heal. He actually has to stay on this. He's going to have another E. Okay, not in time. Arthalon, though. Arthalon, he's going to go down.
Oh, he gets in. He has the soul rip.
Oh.
The B-steps of legend. The legendary Lunara starts the channel.
What do Lunara B-steps look like?
I think we just saw it.
Well, 4-leg, we're going to get a zoom in one day. But that was all sorts of explosive. The Ghost of Uther healed up Crowan to go in to try and turn that around after the mosh pit landed. So that was a big turning point. However, the Lunara factor in these fights is starting to show.
Yes. And that poison scales pretty darn well. It started out really good for HeroesHearth. It's exactly what they needed and how they should play things out. They killed Fury very quickly. He has actually Sanctification here still because he died so fast as Uther goes down. But yeah, that fight started out so well as HeroesHearth got the first kill. That's what they're looking for. But Gale Force was just fine to keep fighting, even without that. Even without Tyrael had the blow up there, had a ton of poisons in, and Michael Udall found a target. Mike's Jaina, I'm telling you, it's impressive. It's been impressive these past couple of series.
Had pretty stellar stats coming into this weekend on that. We'll see what it looks like when we get around to reviewing everything after this week. So preparing for next week. See the top is going to be going down pretty easily, but they did lose bot lane control. So Gale Force, if we're looking at who has the better advantage, you would say it goes over to Gale Force. They're also working to get Sappers again to try and push. HeroesHearth turning their attention. They can get the boss, Hearth back, and then defend that bot lane. However, Gilly, we are approaching the triple altar phase.
Yeah, that's going to be a wrench in some of the plans. Top, the Sappers were used to take down that bell tower, whereas there's the 2 Sapper camps in the bottom, so Gale Force gets that second one, and that'll push along with that. HeroesHearth don't want to separate. They don't have a global. Arthlon goes in, gets caught again, as the root from Numbing Blast does a lot, but now he's got the Soul Rip from a lot of people stuck within this Tormented Souls. Divine Shield saves him, lets him heal back up. Sanctification as Crowan dives in on Tyrael. The fight breaking out again on multiple fronts. So far, nobody getting the advantage, but with that jet propulsion, McIntyre looks in danger. Blinks on out.
Yeah, McIntyre close there, but we see BBJ making the plays on Uther. Jaina all the way at the bottom. Sappers have also crossed on the bottom, but HeroesHearth looking to potentially try and keep this going by taking both of the top ones. Jaina's going to go up. Tyrael and team trying to hold on to this and get it a 5v5. See if they can stretch their lead a little bit here more for Gale Force.
Look at the split. It's so good from Gale Force, making sure that Ishbuk just can't get this mosh pit the way he wants it. This whole time he's being brought down more and more by these poisons. Now Jaina's here. HeroesHearth aren't able to channel this final altar, which means they took the risk of staying together up in the top versus defending, trying to get both of the altars. They lose out on bottom, they lose out on Sappers, and they're going to lose out on this altar too, which sets them down to 9 health to 20.
Now they're going to turn their attention back to more Sapper control. If HeroesHearth wants to force a fight, this is going to be the spot to do it. You can see they're already positioning themselves. They take care of the Wisp. Biggie trying to get the dismount in. They get this quickly. HeroesHearth not able to make their defense in time. They're going to turn their focus towards the keep itself. I don't know if they have enough time. Gale Force looking to potentially take another fight, get some Sappers across.
Yeah, Gale Force are willing to duke it out to clear out this minion wave so that they can try to escort these Sappers. HeroesHearth are running out of options with their core health falling down to 9. And not having this bottom lane, there's nothing really to stop this too, especially with the Holy Ground that's really good there from Fury. McIntyre goes forward.
They get 2.
It boot back, but yep, 2 shots go through.
Well, 1 went through. They killed
yeah.
2. Yeah, they killed 2. But now the amount of poison that is coming out here from Biggie. By the way, at level 16, you can see normally at that position, you can't get that style of poke. But at level 16, you get the extra range. And that's kind of the biggest thing. Starwood Spear for 6 seconds. You get a 2.75 more range off your base range. That's why you can see him poking away from so far. Every time you press that W, you just go again. That's looking terrifying for HeroesHearth to deal with, especially in that defense.
Yeah, that gives you that range there, and Thornwood Vine is a very long range spell. And look at HeroesHearth, there's so many melee. He's getting max value off of that, and the Blaze play has been so good from B-Kid to keep the peels going for big impact. Biggie's Lunara play, I already said, was stellar, and Jaina too is helping to keep safe because now you've got that Numbing Blast. Ishbu's gonna get slowed down from that crippling poison.
He just missed that stun, but they get the root!
There's the root, there's the root! And the chase down too. Ishbu gets the 3-man mosh, but this time Akaface is there for the boop.
He gets the boop. We also have Sanctification and Fortified Bunker. Also use McIntyre trying to get out of there, but the Blizzard's going to fall onto him. That's going to be 2 members going down in the form of Uther and Zeratul. It's going to be a 3rd one as ETC goes down and Gale Force, just the floodgates have opened. Mouthdale, however, on the backside will get the channel. Sappers have gone across the top. Not all is lost for HeroesHearth, but losing 3 members, very detrimental.
And probably a 4th, unless Arthlon has some fancy shenanigans. Yeah, he's going to try to die as fast as possible. Gale Force slows this down by not attacking him, making them have this very long staggered death. And it's something that Gale Force should be able to take advantage of.
Too many people don't recognize you need to die as fast as you can.
Right.
When you know you're going to die, we'll see teams run around. They'll see how long they can survive. It's like a mini game, but it's a mini game that even when you win, you lose. There, Arthlon recognized he needed to die quickly. Did that staggered death, though, still 25-second difference between ETC's death and then his death as well.
Gale Force are showing that amazing old synergy of the Kappa Wolves days between Jaina and Lunara, and I'm talking about Michael Udall and Biggie. It has been phenomenal, this backline, this game. They've been playing all together, though. B-Kid, Fury in the front line, too. Akaface had the money boop that stopped the ETC, the mosh pit last time. And with that, they have over a level advantage with only 3 points left to secure and finish out this game. and go 1 game away from finishing the series.
They're going to hold here. Next altar phase, middle. They need to hold this. No matter what happens, the boss up in about 20-25 seconds from this point. So they have multiple win conditions. The altar about to spawn. 20 here for Gale Force. HeroesHearth has a very tough task here to try and stay in this game.
There's the altar spawning in 20 seconds. No 20 in sight for HeroesHearth as they slowly chip away toward getting level 19. Sappers in bottom, altar in mid. Boss soon to be in top in
there it is.
Right now.
Right on cue. HeroesHearth, this is their last stand. They cannot afford to give up anything here. Arthalon trying to make plays on the backside, but Water Elemental's going to be there. They're trying to get it, but Tyrael goes down. It's a trade right now. Mouthel for Tyrael. Tyrael going in, getting a bit of damage onto Zeratul for the moment, but the poke from Biggie continues.
Yeah, that Archangel's Wrath was max value, and so is this Water Elemental. BBJ taking it slow to take him down. Finally, they bring him down, which is going to give heals back up. But Crowan's been caught. All he can do is hope to trade, hope to juke, maybe to get the Uther heals. But Gale Force Esports are coming in with a vengeance this game. 17 kills to 8 as they take the win and go up 2-1.
The Uther versus Lunara heavily favors the Lunara